back, Internet. It's Lee from PanelsOnPages.com, and this is the PoP Toy Box. This week we're doing something a little bit different. We looked at some massive Transformers the past couple episodes, and this week we're going to take a look at something much more forward to my early years. Because when I was growing up, the G1 Transformers were kind of phasing out. You know, so I picked up a lot of that stuff at yard sales and stuff like that. You know, so I had lots of mostly complete figures when I was a kid. I didn't really get into it hardcore until a bit later in life. But when I was a kid, in the early 90s, there was nothing on Earth that I love more than the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. We're coming up on the 20th anniversary of the series. Megaforce show's on right now. They're doing this massive, I guess, like a crossover episode with like all the different Rangers and stuff. I hear it's going to be pretty swell. But when I was a kid, man, nothing like Power Rangers. And so we're going to take a look at the original set of Power Zords, they call them on the box. The box got weird things wrong compared to how they named it on the show. And the toys themselves weren't quite show accurate too, as we'll get into in a minute. But we're going to look at the original Megazord and the 5 Dino Zords. We're going to look at the Dragon Zord, and we're going to look at Titanus. And then the next episode we're going to see how they combine together. Because that was sort of key, man. Like, you couldn't just get one. You had to get them all to see how they all work together to get the big Ultra Zord combination. So we're going to take a look at those and sort of get an idea of, you know, what made them so damn cool and why, you know, they were such hot items, man. There was nothing like it, although they tried. They tried to recreate the success a couple times. The closest they ever got was Beetleborgs. And if you don't know what a Beetleborg is, you're better off than I do, because I know what a Beetleborg is, and that makes me sad. So enough of that nonsense. Let's take a look at the OG original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Power Zords, starting with the Dino Zords / Megazord. Alright, so here are the original 5 Dino Zords packaged combined as the deluxe Megazord. You got your Triceratops, you got your Mastodon, your Pterodactyl, your Tyrannosaurus, and your Saber-Tooth Tiger. Like I said, as the first guys go, like, they're pretty solid. Like, there's good head to them. Like, you know, you can't even wrap your hand around this guy, and I'm a grown-ass man. So, I mean, there's good size of these dudes. And they're durable as hell. It has some really nice chrome detailing, which is weird as it is to say. Like, these days, you don't get a whole lot of that. Like, you know, lots of flat gray plastics, where these guys got some pretty cool vacuum metallized chrome happening, which is pretty sweet. Like, I wish they would do more of that. Like, nowadays, like, you know, the difference between the San Diego Comic-Con Metroplex and the one at the retail is basically the chrome. So it's kind of weird that you have to pay such an extra premium for that kind of stuff these days. But on their own, fairly unremarkable. You know, they look really pretty cool, but there's not a whole lot to them. Not a whole lot of range of motion. Anything that's not required for transformation flat out does not move, basically. But they're hefty. They look pretty cool. They got a good look about them. And the first series of figures, and most of them up until the Zeo series, I should say, has variations from the Japanese toys and therefore the the show as well. Mainly in the form of these damn lightning bolts. And these little lightning bolts are all over all these things. And oddly enough, it's really not so bad with the Megazord. The Dinozords don't get it too awful. Like, you know, they're like this little M dude here is a little bit different, but it doesn't look bad. Like, it still is more or less what it should be. So they do couple different combinations. The tank mode, which is only shown functioning a couple of times, but was part of the transformation stock footage every single time. And then the Megazord itself. So, I mean, since it doesn't take but a second, we'll go ahead and we'll throw these guys together right quick. Fold the teeth down. And that dude, this guy got to use tail up. He's done. And then what I never realized before, because I didn't get this I didn't actually have as a kid. A friend of mine gave this to me just a couple years ago, filling in a hole in my collection that was vacant for damn near 20 years. Made a dream come true. So this part here, where you actually hit this little button to release the knees, is very important. Without it, this whole thing doesn't work so good, as I found out the first couple times I tried it. So, dudes. And then they peg in like so. A whole lot to it. There's that dude. And the Pterodactyl, I should say. Set him aside for now. The head comes off of this dude. Let's put him aside. Like this. And this is going to go, he wears this kind of like a jacket, basically. It's all tabs and pegs them together pretty nicely. Kind of arch him over a little bit more. Set him back in the frame a little bit better. These little guns go on into the feet. Mastodon, the head has the little foot down and becomes a shield in a minute. But for this part, it pegs in this little hole like that, so it chills. And then this is not exceptionally clear as to how this is supposed to work. So, I mean, I kind of just balance it up there. Otherwise, it doesn't do a whole lot. As far as, you know, nothing to really kind of hold it in place. But that is the so-called Megazord battle mode. And that is a tank with 5 heads on it. And that is awesome. So there's nothing not to like about a 5-headed freaking tank. So, very cool. And this thing, like I said, would roll around pretty much every episode before it stood up and transformed into the basic Megazord configuration. So more or less just unlock him, put his knees back down where they belong. Like that. T-Rex tail bends and goes up like that. Cannons peg in on the back of the Mastodon feet. Just frame a little bit. Pull out the Megazord fists. And then it's a move which, quite frankly, is always going to be satisfying. Just, I mean, just like on the damn show. Head goes down like that. Pterodactyl swoops in, stow it away, land on the chest. And then basically, even though you can do it any way you want, there's nothing keeping you from doing it, the last step, quite frankly, always has to be that right there, pulling out the crown. Like, that's the only acceptable last step to transforming a Megazord, in my estimation. That's just how the hell it works. So that's the Deluxe Megazord in all of its glory. It's, I mean, it's big, man. It's damn near a foot tall. It's got all, you know, plenty of good detailing on it. Like I said, it's a couple of weird sticker things, but it's really not bad compared to the rest of them. And he, of course, he's got his power sword. It too, chromed all the hell out. It's just big blinging. It pegs in quite nicely. And then the Mastodon shield goes in just like that. And like I said, it is a damn solid toy. Like, even by modern standards, like, this is a really cool toy. I mean, it's deep, it's tall, it's thick. I mean, it's got a lot of good weight to it. Like, it's a very, very cool piece. I'm very happy to have it. So that takes care of the core Megazord. And then next up, we're going to take a look at the Dragon Zord. And here we've got the original old school Dragon Zord. This guy, he's all of his electronics and stuff still work. This is mine. We have this in I got this one when I was a little kid. And the electronics still work in this guy. So you hit the little button here and he blinks and flashes and goes crazy, which mimics the show, but you know, it wasn't nowhere near that manic. As you can see, he's got all this really nice shiny gold chrome plastic and catching the light and whatever. It's very, very cool. This actually is not kind of stock out the box though. Like, you know, it's the original figure and all that, but you know, I mentioned the sticker situation when looking at the Megazord a little while ago, and while it was bad, it had nothing on the Dragon Zord. The Dragon Zord had those horrible lightning bolts all over it. So you had them on the sides here, and I think he had, you know, maybe the big M right here, and he had lightning bolts here on his chest, and he had black bands around his tail instead of these really nice gold accents, you know, and it was rough. And then on his feet, you know, he had the big ass lightning bolts, and he should have that cool Z Ranger symbol, you know, from, I mean, it's bad. So this sticker set, this replacement sticker set, which is not identical to, but very much mimics the Japanese version of the toy. Came from ReproLabels.com, and they've got replacement stickers for the Megazord and for Titanus and a lot of early Zord figures. And I think it was like 18 bucks, so not too bad. And to me, it just makes a world of difference on this guy because he looks awesome. I mean, and especially without all those horrible lame-ass lightning bolts. So he's got the beeping light-up features. Been like this, and the tail spins kind of in the show. It's not motorized or anything like that in any capacity, but you kind of do this thing here, and it's pretty cool. You got the rubber tip, which had the tendency to get lost because it comes right the hell off like that, but mine's still intact. They're pretty cool. A little bit bent, but not too bad. Not too shabby. All in all, this guy is cool as hell. He's got all the look that you want to have. He's got the little details on his fingers for the guns, the little gun missile that he does in the show, and it's awesome. He's a little bit shorter than the Megazord, not by a whole lot, but that basically just kind of comes down to there not being so many components to him. So he's a bit shorter. Maybe if you count the crest, he's not that much shorter at all. But head to head, he's quite a bit smaller. But still, very very cool. And the only way you could get an 8-inch Green Ranger figure, he also had the same kind of shiny gold plastic for his armor. The only way to get it was to buy the Dragon Zord. So the rest, all 5 of the core Rangers were sold by themselves. Only way to get Tommy's figure was to buy this thing. Which, I mean, you kind of want this thing, but still, maybe you can afford this thing or whatever, But still, the only way to get the figure was to get this guy. Kind of a crazy thing. They did the same thing a few years ago with the Tiger Zord and the White Ranger. Well, just real quick, I want to show this awesome bit of detailing here. You can kind of look and you can see that there's red eyes are a separate piece from his face. And then they're recessed back. They're on the same piece as this articulated mouth here, which we'll get to when we start looking at the transformations on the next episode. But we're not done here. We got one more to take a look at before we round this up. Titanus, the Carrier Zord. Take a look. Here is Titanus. Look at the size of this damn thing. He barely fits in the little stage I made for myself. Now, again, without any kind of scale, it might be hard to say how big this guy actually is. So, just to give some reference, this is not this Prime Slurpee Cup. Your typical average Slurpee Cup size, that's how big this damn thing is. I mean, side to side, front to back, top to bottom, it's huge. You gotta be a foot tall, you gotta be, a foot and a half long, like it's huge, it's ridiculous. And it has one of the coolest walking features I've ever seen in a toy. Put this button here, and he's powered by, he gets really cool locomotive action in the legs, which I love. That's awesome. Okay, so another cool thing about this guy is he's the only one that you can actually see any kind of detailing. So you look, the light catches it, right? You can see the bottom of the battery cover has all the original Japanese Zero Ranger branding and stuff. And these tires here, by the way, rubber. The back wheels are plastic wheels, but there's rubber tires on the front wheels, so the ones that actually propel him across floors and whatnot. And what that means is this thing will, obviously he'll roll across the countertop here, but he'll roll freely and effortlessly across like carpets, and he'll go over door jams and stuff like that because he has good tread on these really cool rubber tires. I mean, he's an awesome figure. Awesome figure. And now, while he doesn't fare too bad in the stupid lightning bolt department, like you got one here and you got one over here, and he's got, one on each shoulder. He does have a lot of these weird M's that don't make any sense. And he has the same number of stickers as the Japanese release, but a lot of his are just a solid black. And it's a damn shame because the Japanese version had these awesome, metallic gold stickers with all this cool, these like almost Egyptian looking characters, and all this thing right here, all these solid black pieces, simply all of them were not solid black. Like none of them were. Like they were completely different designs, and they were gorgeous. And ReproLabels.com has a set of replacement stickers for this guy. Unfortunately, it is $50 just for the set of stickers. When this guy was brand new, he retailed for $50. I paid lots more money for dumber things, but $50 is a lot for a sticker sheet. Talk to me in a year from now, I will probably have that sticker sheet because I have a problem. He has a battle mode. I'm going to put that in little quotey quotes. A battle mode of sorts, which involves taking the tail off and splitting it in half like this. And so this half pegs on this leg like this. He said, hoping to get it to work. And this side pegs onto this side like this. And so he ends up with these big, massive cannons on his arms. They look pretty cool. And since they're on his arms, they get the same cool pumping action when he rolls. Also, interesting note, those are the same C batteries that have always been in this thing. I've never replaced the batteries. 20 years old, this thing. So that is Titanus. His main function, he's described as the carrier Zord. And what that means is the back opens up and you can put stuff in there. And that comes into factor pretty seriously when we get into the various combinations of how all these three Zords work together. And we'll talk about that on the next episode. Alright, that takes care of part 1 of our retrospective look at the original Power Rangers, Power Zords, the Dino Zords, whatever you want to call them. Next week we're going to take them and we're going to put them together, make them do stuff together, which is pretty rad. And one of those things that, like, you know, every kid wanted to do. And we'll talk a little bit about the dirty stuff. I'll show you something else that we didn't talk about this week. I'll show you the non-deluxe Megazord because it's bullshit. And the only reason it existed was to make kids sad. And I'll show you why next week. Or next month, whatever the next week. The next episode, you'll see the other Megazord. It's awful. So, go to PanelsOnPages.com. Clicky the linky. Listen to the Popcast Tuesdays at 10 Eastern at chat.panelsonpages.com. Subscribe to all the Popcast Network shows. And thanks for watching. I'll see you next time on the Toy Box. We'll look at more Power Ranger-y goodness. Thanks.